The United Kingdom has proposed a controversial policy to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda for processing instead of handling their claims within the UK. This has raised major questions about the conditions and readiness in Rwanda to receive and integrate these refugees. In this video, we'll look closely at Rwanda and examine whether this small East African nation is truly prepared for a potential influx of refugees from the UK. Rwanda, known as the Land of 1,000 Hills for its lush, mountainous terrain, is a densely populated country with a largely agrarian economy. It has a tropical climate with 2 rainy seasons and moderate temperatures due to its high elevation. While urban centers like the capital Kigali are modernizing, the majority of Rwandans reside in rural areas engaged in subsistence farming, often with limited access to basic services. Rwanda's recent history has been marked by profound tragedy. The 1994 genocide against the Tutsi minority killed up to 800,000 people in just 100 days. This horror has shaped efforts towards unity, reconciliation, and preventing future atrocities. Under President Kagame's leadership since the genocide, economic growth has surged annually at over 6%. However, his rule is also criticized as authoritarian with human rights concerns. While healthcare, education, and infrastructure have improved in Rwanda, challenges persist, especially in rural areas where most citizens live. This raises questions about Rwanda's capacity to receive and integrate a large influx of refugees from the UK. With its high population density and limited resources, can Rwanda truly support this new group's basic needs? There are also concerns over processing abilities, services for new arrivals, and cultural integration challenges refugees may face. Many human rights groups criticize the UK's policy as unethical, lacking compassion and violating refugee rights. However, supporters argue it deters illegal migration and disrupts human trafficking. Life for UK refugees in Rwanda. If the UK's plan moves forward, refugees deported from Britain would face a complete upheaval by relocating to Rwanda. From navigating a new culture and language barriers to adjusting to different living standards and levels of economic development, their transition could prove extremely difficult. Most refugees would likely find themselves in urban areas like Kigali, living in shelters, camps, or low-income housing until more permanent solutions are arranged. Overcrowding, lack of resources, poverty, and crime could make these settlements harsh environments to adjust to, especially for vulnerable groups. The culture shock could be even more extreme for those in rural areas. A transition from British cities to isolated Rwandan villages with minimal services, infrastructure, and subsistence living could prove traumatic. Major hurdles include language barriers, lack of economic opportunities, and struggles accessing healthcare or education. Additionally, many refugees could face discrimination, harassment, or even violence from Rwandan citizens, wary of foreigners and Western influence. A lack of legal work rights may drive some to seek illegal or exploitative labor. Overall, while a chance for safety, the reality for UK refugees in Rwanda could involve housing instability, limited rights, poverty, culture shock, and an extremely difficult adjustment process, especially without proper humanitarian support systems in place. As we've seen, Rwanda's climate, living conditions, history of responding to genocide, and developmental progress all raise complex considerations around the UK's refugee plan. While Rwanda has demonstrated immense resilience, ethical concerns linger over subjecting more vulnerable populations to potential hardship and inadequate resources. This controversial issue has no easy answers, but underscores the critical importance of humane policymaking that respects the humanity and rights of all people, including those forced to flee their homeland as refugees.